So now that we have some background information on this theory, we'll go over key terms and major concepts. So in 1991, Beck is actually credited to differentiate between maternity blues, postpartum depression, and postpartum psychosis. Before then, they were kind of used interchangeably, but in 1991, Beck clearly defined them. So we learned earlier that maternity blues or baby blues, they include a wide range of emotions from joy and pleasure to sadness and crying out of nowhere. And these feelings of sadness and tearfulness, they tend to decrease over the first 2 weeks of delivery. And this is very common among women. And then we move on to the postpartum depression stage when that baby blues don't go away. And postpartum depression usually occurs within 6 weeks after childbirth. And they've been observed to be more common in adolescent females or moms who deliver prematurely or women living in urban areas. And then if postpartum depression is not treated, then it can turn into postpartum psychosis. This is where the female can experience hallucinations or have lack of sleep for several consecutive nights. They feel agitated, have unusual behavior and delusions. And basically, it's an acute onset of manic or depressive psychosis within the first few days or weeks after delivery. And typically, this will happen after the postpartum depression period. And this is when you hear about stories on the news where the mom throws their baby off the balcony or drains them in the bathtub or chops off her own arm with chainsaw and horror stories like that. And then in our textbook, it's also mentioned Beck's theory, her published paper on her theory. It was titled Teetering on the Edge. And Beck identified 4 different stages of the process of these women feeling like they're teetering on the edge. So the first stage is called encountering terror, where these women feel like they experience horrifying anxiety attacks, and they have obsessive thinking and complain of this enveloping fogginess where they can't really wake up and face, they feel claustrophobic and they have this like foggy murkiness about them. And then the second stage is a dying of self, where they experience alarming unrealness, isolation of self, and even contemplation of self-destruction. And then the third stage is struggling to survive. In this stage, they feel like they're battling the system and they're praying for some type of relief and they're seeking comfort and solace. And then in the last stage, they slowly begin to start regaining control. They're making transitions and then they're mourning for lost time because previously they were so busy with their sadness and trying to, stay in control that they didn't have time to bond with their baby, cuddle them, hold them as an infant, as a newborn. So some women feel like they were cheated of their early motherhood, and these women in the fourth stage, they're working on a guarded recovery, on attaining a guarded recovery.